Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sanford Lab's Neutrino Day bad science joke contest. I'm here with Brian Mallow and the science comedian. We have our lists of bad jokes that you have submitted over the last week, and our attempt here is to make each other cry with the worst bad science joke or the best bad science joke. I'm not sure which way we're going on this, but we're gonna try to make each other cry with these jokes. And at the end,
are these supposed to be bad science jokes or bad science jokes?
Oh, that is a fine line. I didn't think about that. Well, as we go through, if we can identify any bad science, that may take one of the top slots, huh?
Ah, there you go. So we have a bunch of submissions, and you know what? If anyone would like to participate while we're live, and maybe we should repeat this about halfway through, you can send us a joke. Send us your bad science jokes.
Yes, please. The worse, the better. Wait.
And you know, however painful, so you're the scientist. So here, this is combined. So we're talking science jokes. I'm a comedian. You're a scientist. So we have different perspectives on this. But if you think it's painful to hear these as a scientist, you can't imagine what it's like to have to endure bad science jokes as a comedian and even a science comedian.
Right, and we're not going to hold back on this. We will make our pain evident, I think.
Yeah. So should we just jump into it? If anyone wants to send in jokes, we might get to them. I mean, we really have more jokes than we can get to probably, so we'll just do our best. But Mark, do you want to start us off with one?
Yeah, actually, in the list that was sent to us, I found one of my... Is it a favorite or the most hated one? But it's the most, I think, classical, most iconic physics joke. It's a bit long, so give me a second on this one. It's the only long one I'm going to do. A farmer was having trouble with a fox getting into his hen house. And he asked his neighbor, who happened to be a theoretical physicist, for advice on how to solve that problem. The physicist asked him to think about it for a day and came back the next day saying, I have good news and I have bad news for you. The good news is that I have a solution for your hen house problem. The bad news is that it only worked for chickens in a perfect sphere, or chickens who are a perfect sphere in a vacuum. That's pretty terrible, right?
Yeah, and in fact, you know, we discussed whether we were going to toss in any jokes, and that actually does remind me of a joke that I'll share before we jump into the rest of these. So it's not my joke, but you just totally reminded me of this joke where a guy's driving along a country road, and he sees a chicken on the side of the road running and as fast as his car. And in fact, it's faster, and he speeds up, and it speeds up, and he can see that it has 3 legs. And then it runs off the side and goes behind a farmhouse. So he stops and he goes to the farmhouse and he knocks. He goes, I think I just saw a really fast 3-legged chicken. And can I believe my eyes? And the guy at the farmhouse says, yeah, actually, I'm a genetic engineer. And see, in my house, we really like me and my wife and my son, we really like chicken. And we realized that if I could make a chicken that has 3 legs, we all love drumsticks. That was the key. And if I could make a chicken that had 3 legs, we could each have a drumstick with only killing 1 chicken. And the guy goes, oh, that's remarkable. Well, but how does it taste? And he goes, I don't know. We haven't been able to catch it.
That's good. I like that.
That's kind of funny, yeah. Okay, so let me give you one from the list.
All right.
Well, Kelly says you can't trust atoms; they make up everything.
Oh.
I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah. No, I like that. All right. That's a good one, Kelly. All right. This one. Oh, and I should have mentioned the first one I read came from Scott.
Okay.
This one's from Bree, and I like this one. It's not physics, but I like this because it's a level I can understand.
Hold on a second. Do atoms make up everything?
That's a good.
They make up. Well,
they don't.
You know what? In light of this week, they make up all matter. They make up all normal matter.
Yep. Well, they make up a portion of normal matter. There's still a lot of normal matter out there that's not in the form of atoms, just bare protons.
Like plasma.
Yeah, like plasma. And then there's all that dark matter out there that just doesn't.
Dark
format.
matter, dark energy. So they don't make up everything. So that's what we're here to do. Pick apart these jokes a little bit.
Oh, so
all right.
we found our first one that is a bad science joke.
And yet it's kind of classic, but but it still plays funny because for the most part they make up everything. We're just thinking of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a
but
good joke.
but if we want to be precise, you know, why not bring up the fact that we've been talking about dark matter and dark energy and stuff like that all week.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, being able to pick apart jokes like that makes me a real favorite at parties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this
and
one
amongst comedians love it too.
Because nothing really sells a joke. Nothing makes it funnier than being able to completely destroy it, right? Okay, this one comes from Bree. One tectonic plate bumped into another tectonic plate and said, "Sorry, my fault."
My fault. It's a pun. So it's a fault, like a fault line. Like, it's, I'm a fan of puns. I have some and I use some. I find wordplay very fun. So
you and I have differing opinions on that. Puns are the bane of my existence. Don't use that to destroy me here.
How about I'll do another short. How about Thomas says, I hate being a DNA molecule. There's so much to remember. Maybe. I mean, I guess DNA is basically an information storage system.
Yeah, it's a good information density joke. I always appreciate a good information density joke.
How many information density jokes are there?
I don't know, but you can pack them all in a really small time.
That's some information that you don't have.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, now this one requires me to play it off a little cheesy, I think. I have to get into character here and see if I can sell this one to you. All right, Brian. This one comes from Andrew. Neutrino.
Oh, not Andrew. Oh, okay. It's from Andrew.
Right. Andrew, if you're out there watching, I hope I do this justice. Neutrino, more like Nutri, yes. That's pretty rough, wasn't it?
Neutrino.
Yeah.
So he's saying neutrino.
Yeah.
We're mispronouncing it. When we say neutrino, we're just emphasizing the wrong syllable. He's hearing as neutrino, yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like I have something similar to that. I do have no surprise that we got some neutrino jokes. And I won't say, I have one neutrino joke that I tell, but I'll save it for later in case, we hear something similar to it. How about Shinran says a neutrino flies into a bar. A neutrino flies out of a bar. Zero interaction. So you know what? That's actually thematically, I would say that's an inferior version of my joke that I was just mentioning. And yes, inferior. It's the same idea. I have a series of geeky bar jokes where you say something walks into a bar and the bartender says, we don't serve your kind, basically. And then it's almost always a pun. So my neutrino one, it's the same concept. A neutrino walks into a bar. The bartender says, we don't serve neutrinos in this bar. The neutrino says, hey, I was just passing through. So that's basically what he was saying. A neutrino flies into a bar. It flies out of a bar. Zero interaction. And why is that, Mark? Why is there zero interaction with the neutrino?
Because they have zero interaction with the electromagnetic field, which is how we experience the world.
Ooh, how we experience the world.
All right. Are you ready for this one from, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, Ibbles?
Probably not, but go ahead.
That can't be right, but it's a nice name. This one is great. There are two kinds of people in the world, Brian. Those who are able to extrapolate from incomplete data.
And those that can't extrapolate from... That's pretty funny. And in fact, I think I have a companion joke for that.
Okay.
So tell me again, state your joke again.
All right. There are two kinds of people in the world. Those who are able to extrapolate from incomplete data.
Exactly. Okay. And then you hopefully can extrapolate from that. Here's from Aaron. There are 10 kinds of people in this world. Those who understand binary and those who don't. Tell him why that's funny, Mark.
In binary, 1-0 means 2. So he's saying there are 2 kinds of people in the world.
And it's funny because you said there's 10, but you don't realize it's 10 in binary. I mean, so it really is literally true. I mean, you could even say, you could divide the world into lots of kinds, but that's valid. If you either understand binary or you don't. So that is one category of you could be one or the other. And there are 10 kinds. So I also think that one's kind of clever,
I like that. All right, how about this one from Matthew? And I have to explain, first of all, are you familiar with Glenn Seaborg? He's a Nobel...
sounds familiar. He's the Nobel Prize winner?
Yeah, Nobel Prize winning chemist. He's basically credited as the father of plutonium. He's the one who created plutonium in a lab and made it possible for us to use it then for the fission bomb and for fission in nuclear power plants.
Okay.
All right, so this is about Glenn Seaborg. You got to remember that. Matthew asks, what did Glenn Seaborg have for lunch? Fission chips.
Fission chips. Nuclear fission,
painful,
which would
right?
probably use uranium or plutonium. Would you use plutonium for fission? Is that...
You would use plutonium for fission in a bomb, yes. You would use uranium for fission in a nuclear power plant.
Oh, yeah? Can you... So there's something different about the way they fizz, you're saying? That,
yes.
like, you can split uranium and get a sustained chain reaction without it being explosive, just generating enough heat that we can use it as a power source?
I think, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. Most of my nuclear physics work is on the lighter end of the periodic table.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that, the energy density is much greater with plutonium, but it's also harder to make. So when you're making a bomb, you don't care how hard it is to get. You want to pack the most explosive power in a small area. Whereas uranium, it's still incredibly hard to make, but not quite so hard as plutonium. And I think that you have less trouble containing the energy. This is a deeper conversation than I expected to have after fission chips.
That joke, I know. We didn't even address the chips. But how about Owen says... Are you ready for this, Mark? Owen says,
brace myself.
Don't take sides, be a neutron. Okay.
Yeah, the neutron, the famously uncharged neutral particle. I like that.
Don't take sides, be neutral. So that's really, it's even playing off not a charge, but be neutral. Don't take sides. Okay.
That's a good one.
What do you got?
All right, okay. This one comes to us from Eric, and this one I want you to rate painfulness for me, because I think that at least as a physicist, this one's really painful for me.
It already hurts me a little.
I just wanted to prepare you. I don't want to kill you with this. All right, there are
Who's this from?
This is from Eric.
Okay, Eric.
All right, 2 kittens are on a plank of wood. If you slowly lift one end of the plank, so it becomes steeper and steeper, eventually the kittens will slide down. Which kitten slips first?
I don't know.
It's the one with the smaller mu.
The one with the smaller mu. Okay, so...
In physics, mu is a Greek letter that we use to...
it's a Greek letter outside of physics as well.
Good point. Well made. Okay, mu is a Greek letter that in physics we use to indicate the coefficient of friction.
I'm going to improve your grammar and syntax and use of the English language. Okay, so mu. What is mu?
It's the coefficient of friction, and the idea is that something with a small coefficient of friction slides more easily on the surface.
Mu.
So
meow,
meow.
meow. You were that. I think you were supposed. I think you failed in your delivery. You were supposed to say the one with the smaller mew.
Oh, I don't know if I can do mew. Oh, I can. All right.
Let's see what.
Hell.
I'll bet that hurt. Thanks, Eric. How about this? Here's a longish one from Elise.
All right.
And these first things are 3 last names: Joule, Newton, and Pascal decide to play hide and seek. Joule closes his eyes and counts to 10. When he opens them, he sees Newton has drawn a 1 meter by 1 meter square on the ground, and he's sitting in it. Newton, you're terrible at this game, Joule says. No, replies Newton. You have found 1 Newton per square meter. You found Pascal.
Oh, that one hurts me in my soul, Brian. That one's rough.
Yeah, I think part of the setup was left out because was he supposed to find Pascal? I don't know, but that one is a pretty elaborate.
Yeah.
So what? But I guess it explains it in like a Newton. Is that a measure of force?
Yes, it
a
is.
Newton. A joule is a
Measure of
unit of energy.
Yep.
And what's a Pascal? So a Pascal is 1 Newton per square meter. So what does that mean? What is a Pascal?
It's a pressure. If you have 1 Newton
Oh.
of force pushing on a space that's 1
1
meter
square
squared,
meter. So that's a
that's a
pressure.
Pascal.
So that's
Yeah.
3 people, 3 last names who've had units named for them.
Yes.
The joule is the energy, Joule, by the way.
Yep.
Newton, the classic way.
Oh man. That one's
Okay, so
rough.
that was from Elise.
Okay. This one I have a history with. And I'll tell you after I tell you this story, or after I tell you this joke. This one comes to us from Ed. And wherever you are, Ed, I curse you for bringing this joke back into my life. Ed asks, which is more energetic, a steak or a burger? And the answer, of course, is a steak, because the burger's in a ground state.
So, and a ground state is a lower energy level.
Yeah, in atomic physics and nuclear physics, a ground state is the lowest energy that something cannot.
You know what I actually thought you said, though? What's the question?
Which is more energetic, a steak or a burger?
I thought you said a steak or a birder, someone who like bird watches, because that word birder has been, I've been coming across it so much lately. So
Yep.
I heard which has more energy, a steak or a birder. Okay, so that was wrong.
And that's
Hey,
when
you know what? We actually do have a fresh joke sent into the chat. I guess I should have read it before I said we had one. Let's just see what it is. How about that?
All right, hit me.
Why did the neutrino, and it's a neutrino joke, why did the neutrino cross the road? To get to Neutrino Day. Okay, I think that's sucking up a little too hard.
Yeah, no, that's blatant advertisement. I'm
Yeah.
all for it.
And then I'll tell you what. Here's another one from the chat. 1 billion neutrinos walk into a bar. One of them says, "Ouch," because it walked into a bar. So that's another pun, because he didn't walk into a bar to get a drink. He walked into a bar.
Well, and only
Does
one
a
in a
neutrino
billion.
can a neutrino smack its forehead on a bar? Does a neutrino have a forehead? Technically,
It doesn't have a forehead, but 1 in a billion of them might interact with a bar. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so those were the freshest ones we have.
I like those. All right. Why don't we veer to the medical field for a second?
Ooh, okay.
This is a classic. Everyone's heard it, but I think the goal here is to make me read it out loud so that, I have to suffer the indignity of it. One man says to another, I heard in the news earlier this week that dogs can't go through MRI machines. Man number 2 asks why, to which man number 1 replies, I'm not sure, but I know cats can.
I was trying to guess what kind of pun was coming, and I thought the word bark. I thought it was going to involve the word bark. I don't know, but that reminds me of the classic. I thought blah blah, like so I'm picking my nose, blah blah blah, but it's snot.
Oh, right.
Like whatever. I don't even know what the joke is, but the punchline is, but it's snot. And then that was, but a cat's what say?
But cats can.
But cats can.
Dogs
Cats
can go through the
can.
cats can, yeah. And I think
Cats can. All right.
the version I've heard of the joke you're looking for is, I thought my brains were dripping out of my nose, but it's not.
But it's snot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not proud that I know that.
Yep. Um. Oh. Eli says, a priest and his congregation walk into a bar, at which point the entire situation collapses into a black hole due to there being too much mass present in such a small volume. Again, the pun on the word mass.
Yeah. If you get
For mass, because the priest and the congregation.
Yep, and a black hole forms when you cram too much mass in one area of space-time. Okay, yeah, I like it.
I like the way you pointed that out too, because it's not just about the amount of mass that determines that it's a black hole, but it has to be, it's like a density. It's amount of mass in a small, like any amount of mass could be a black hole in the appropriately small volume.
That's exactly it. We can have micro black holes that are, no more massive than, say, a pen. But it would have an incredibly small event horizon, and you probably wouldn't notice it. Right. Okay, how about this one that comes to us from Alex? He says he pulled this from a web page. The Flat Earth Society welcomes members from all around the globe.
Yes. Yeah, that's loaded with stuff that we could talk about for a long time. But that's a funny one. Yes. Here's one from Sam and Kaylee. Two atoms walking down the street. One says to the other, "Oh no, I lost an electron." The other says, "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm positive."
That one's a classic.
Now see, yeah, and actually I've usually heard it, not two atoms walking down the street, although that's perfectly valid. I lost an electron, then you're positive. But I've heard it be like a proton would just say this. It's like, I've lost an electron.
Right.
But that makes sense that it's an atom, because it's like, if you're just a proton, you don't have an electron. Well, but he's a proton saying, I had an electron.
Right. If you're a proton with an electron, you're a hydrogen atom.
Yes.
Once you lose that, you become positive, and you're just a proton, just a lonely proton.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam and Kaylee.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a classic one. All right, how about this one from Sally, which is along the same lines. A neutron walks into a bar and asks for the price of a drink. The bartender tells him, "For you, no charge."
Yeah, so another neutron joke. We had a neutron joke earlier, and I like that. I actually like this one. For you, no charge. You never heard that one where like a something that's a bloodsucker, something like is it a flea or something like a mosquito walks into a bar and says, "Is the bartender here?"
Oh, yeah, I've heard it as a woodchuck comes in and asks, "Is the bartender
a woodchuck." I feel like I've heard it as is the wood tender here. It doesn't make sense that it's a bloodsucker. Yeah, I just don't remember that one. All right.
Is it me or you now? I've lost track of us.
Well, I was rambling. I think that I feel like it's me. I think I have more than you because because one of my turns I didn't read from my list. Luke says, my jokes are like neutrinos. They're almost never noticed by anyone. They're almost never noticed by anyone. So that's fair enough.
I feel your pain, Luke. I'm right there with you. Let's see. I think I've got one left here from Becky, and this one I like.
Do you really have one left? Because I have a couple. Okay.
I do. I think we must have gotten out of sync once. But yeah, so this one's from Becky, who asks, why won't the deep underground neutrino experiment, which will be installed here at Sanford Lab in the next few years,
Dune!
Yeah, why won't the Dune detectors be filled with xenon? Because it's argon. I have to explain that now. The Dune detectors will be filled with a gas called argon, and Becky has spelled it in such a way that I'm supposed to mispronounce it and say that it's argon or all gone.
Like it's all gone. All the xenon is gone, but it will be filled with argon?
Yes. That's the idea. It'll be filled with liquid argon, 13 million gallons of liquid argon. 13
million gallons?
Yes.
That's a lot of argon.
It's quite a bit of argon.
Alex would like to know, here's a joke, but it's a question. How many theoretical cosmologists does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh, no.
2, one to hold the bulb and one to rotate the universe. So I guess a theoretical cosmologist like my friend Katie Mack that we just met earlier today, because an experimentalist wouldn't try to do that.
No, that's a good theoretical frame of reference joke. That's nice.
Are you really out? Because I have a joke or two left. And you know what? So here's one from Kim. A photon walks into a hotel and the bellhop asks if it has any luggage. The photon replied, "No, I'm traveling light."
Traveling light. Okay.
Because a photon. That. Yeah, yep. Tell us.
I do see. I skipped over one.
Okay.
It's a bit long, so I'm going to truncate it a bit. But this one comes to us from Donald, who says a farmer sent his son off to school at School of Mines to pick up an education in engineering. And when the son came home for Christmas, he was sitting around the table with family. The dad asked the son to tell us the smartest thing you've learned so far. Speak us some math, would you? And the son stands up and says, "All right, pi r squared." To which the dad stands up, slaps him down to a seat, and said, "That's stupid. We all know pi r round. Cakes are square." Yeah, that's the indignity that I suffer.
Pi r squared. Pi r squared, which is the area of a circle.
Yes.
You know what? I actually have one more that's kind of long, and we might as well, because I think we got through all of them, if so. So Ishira wrote, Heisenberg, Schrodinger, and Ohm are on a road trip. They get pulled over. Heisenberg is driving, and the cop asks him, "Do you know how fast you are going?" "No, but I know exactly where I am," Heisenberg replies. So that's a joke in itself. But then the cop says, "You were doing 55 in a 35. Heisenberg throws up his hands and shouts, "Great, now I'm lost." Because the more you know about the velocity, so that was additional information of it's Heisenberg's uncertainty, right? That's the more you know about the velocity, then the less you can know about
your position. That's right.
Your position.
Yep.
And the cop thinks this is suspicious and orders him to pop open the trunk. He checks it out and says, "Do you know you have a dead cat back here?" And Schrodinger's like, "Great, now I do." And then it's so these are all individual jokes, and that's about the Schrodinger's cat. Until you open the trunk, it's both dead and alive. And then the final one is the cop moves to arrest them. Ohm resists.
Oh, that was a 1, 2, 3 punch. There was no getting up from that one.
So and Ohm is the unit, is another unit. Ohm is another
unit of
scientist that became a unit, the unit of resistance. Yep. Okay, so here's the thing. We're right here at the end, and we're gonna pick one bad science joke that's the worst of all or the best of all. We're not even sure, are we, Mark?
I think it's the worst, best, bad joke. Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? Why don't we give the 3 runner-ups in reverse order, third, second, and then first, and then the winner, only the winner's going to win something. It's really questionable about whether this is even a win. What is the prize that they win? Or what is the prize being inflicted upon them?
I think it's fitting for the worst, best, bad joke to get the worst, best prize possible, which is a half an hour chance to meet with me over Zoom, ask any questions you have about science, about physics, about astrophysics, nuclear physics. Really, physics is my field. You can ask other things, but I won't be able to give you as good an answer as on physics. So it's a half an hour with me, you lucky winner, you.
Yeah. So how about this? I'm going to mention the third place and second place, and then you tell us the winner, what the winning joke was.
All right.
So in third place was Owen with "Don't Take Sides, Be a Neutron." In second place, Sam and Kaylee with, the atom that lost that electron. Are you sure? I'm positive. So congratulations. That's third and second place. And our winner, who gets a half hour, who has to endure a half-hour Zoom call with Mark, but a chance to talk to a physicist and ask him a nuclear astrophysicist about whatever you want to ask a scientist.
Yes.
So
my condolences then to Matthew.
Who's your winner?
Matthew has won with his joke about what Glenn Seaborg had for lunch, which was fish and chips.
And well, you know what? How appropriate that it's nuclear physics, and you're a nuclear astrophysicist.
I'm not going to say I was biased, but that really brought it home for me.
Yeah.
So well done, Matthew.
Well done. Congratulations to everybody, or horrible job, everybody, whatever. But we're not sure what the appropriate thing to say there is.
Yes,
you all
for
did
making us both
terribly.
suffer.
Thank you for your terrible jokes. And Matthew, yours most of all.
Yes, fantastic. All right.
You win.
If we want to hear more bad science jokes and possibly some good science jokes, we can see you on Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Is that right?
Yeah, tomorrow. So my time it's 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 Pacific Mountain, Central, and Eastern. 2 o'clock Mountain. I'm gonna from 2 to 3:30. Brian Mallow, Just Add Gravity. So there will be jokes, and some of them will be good, and some of them will be bad, probably. And we don't know. They're both good and bad until the show happens.
They're Schrodinger jokes. Okay.
Yes.
I can get down with that.
So wow, so that's fantastic. That's tomorrow. Tune in, and we're done. Is there something coming up after us? Do we know?
I don't know. No, it looks like we're it for the day. I'm
All
getting signal
right.
from the producer over here. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and please join us again tomorrow to see Brian Mallow and Just Add Gravity. All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.